Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the VeVe Vantage Podcast. Our fantastic co-host, MisterV, just completed two beautiful sets of the first ever Capcom Monster Hunter drop on VeVe, and these animated dragons look amazing. So he'll tell us the journey he went through to get the four collectibles. All of them have the same mint, by the way, the troubles he faced, and some insights on how you can get big offers from VeVe whales and special mint collectors if you're lucky enough to land a very nice mint from a drop.
I'm interested in talking about the market action that's been going on. There have been a lot of items that have been selling out like all of a sudden when there was still like 500 to 1,000 plus items still left in the store. And all of a sudden, like in a matter of a few hours, they sell out. It's really shocking to see, especially because of the lack of interest in these store items.
Right.
I've been hearing in spaces, and I've been reading some tweets about, this character has one rarity for the FA, and then this character has three rarities for the FA, and things along those lines. And then there's also the discussion of animation versus non-animated collectibles.
Wow.
It's it's cool. People, it's a guessing game right now.
Yeah.
But people are talking and trying to spark some conversations. Anyways, about the market activity, I think because, and this is just like from the outsider looking in.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it had to do with people targeting items that are, in this case, we're talking about collectibles, not necessarily the comics, but the collectibles that have one rarity and that are also animated. So, for example, we had the Hulk,
Right.
the FA Hulk. There was 4,444 editions, and I believe that there was just over 500 or so left in the store just like 4 days ago. And I remember I was super tired that one evening, and I went ahead and tried my luck and bought like 3 or 4 Hulks from the store.
All right. Let me give people a disclaimer because we're probably gonna publish this episode maybe the first week of June. So Hulk probably sold out on May 30th or May 31st. But go on.
So I pulled the lever, and got some terrible mints of the Hulk. And so the floor was maybe 15 or 20 gems under retail. And I just floored them just to get rid of them because I don't like having random mints in my collection if I can help it. So I was just like, whatever. I'd rather just get those gems back, whatever gems I could get back, and see what else I could do with them. And I go to sleep pretty early.
And it's sold out, right?
It's sold out. Like there was like 500 in the store, and then like 3 or 4 hours. I woke up probably around midnight or 1 a.m. because I just wake up like a couple times every night in the middle of the night.
Mostly for VeVe?
Only for that. And I checked the group chat, and I saw like a bunch of messages, like several messages about Hulk, and I was like, what are these people talking about? Because I was just looking at it and I just messed around with it. And then I go back to the store and I see it's sold out, and then the floor shot up from like 40, 42 gems to 80, 85.
Yeah, like the fall double, which is wild.
Yeah, I was super surprised and so pissed off.
Yeah.
I was so pissed off because I was thinking like maybe I should grab a couple and from the market as well to DCA and help lower my average instead, but I didn't, and it was too little, too late at that point. So then, and then there was one other collectible. Do you recall?
The Kang?
Well,
No.
well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there's the Kang collectible. I because of what happened with the Hulk, I was like, okay, what's the next Marvel character that's still in the store? So like I bought a couple from the store, and then I just grabbed a bunch from the marketplace at floor, and then like that same day and then today as well, probably like 50% or more of the supply that was left is now gone. So like I think there's like 1,500. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw out numbers or anything, but yeah, I think people are just really bored.
Yeah,
Like
for real.
just plain and simple, I just think people are really bored and they just want to see like how they can make the market move. Um,
Also, I think people love to gamble and play that arbitrage game because for the Hulk collectible, I mean, like, it's so that's a one rarity FA animated collectible, right?
yes.
Yeah. So if you made the right decision, and I got pretty pissed off because I missed out on it too. Like if you bought it from the store, then it's 50 gems, and after it got sold out, you could have made 50% profit because the floor shot up to like 80 something and then 70 something. If you bought from the store at like 40 something gems, then you probably made like 100% profit. That was a very good um, case study, I think, for both of us too. And then the second example is the Kang collectible, because I don't think he's sold out yet, right? As of today, which is June 1st.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think he's also 50 gems. So, and the floor for the ultra rare, so there's two rarity. The floor for the ultra rare it was maybe like 127 gems 2 days ago. Now it's around 100 gems. If
It's
you
actually
roll,
it's like 80 gems right now.
oh, it's 80 gems. Okay, but like if you were to roll the dice 2 days ago, and if you land an ultra rare, like some folks in our group did, then you kind of double your money there. Um, yeah. So I think people are bored, but at the same time, I think it's fun to gamble and at the same time play that arbitrage game a little bit.
Yeah. And then the same thing, like kind of circling back a couple days before all of this, the Star Wars poster drop
Mm.
for Return of the Jedi, right? So the 1983 film.
The is that the ultra rare that went up to like 200 and something?
Yeah, there was like five different posters, and then one of them, the ultra rare, one of the ultra rare posters was a like a they changed the title of the film
Right.
before releasing it, right? Instead of Revenge of the Jedi, they
Hmm.
changed it to The Return of the Jedi. And because of that historical significance and the rationale behind it, I think they explain it in the details
Hmm.
of the poster, or maybe you could look it up. But because of that, and because of the scarcity of it, I think there were 777 editions of it. There was a lot of discussion about it, and there's and it this does make sense. I'm not trying to convince anybody one way or the other because I'm very stubborn in my ways too of how I try to navigate the market because,
Hmm.
and I'll be honest, like what I do does not give me a great return or any return whatsoever today, right? Maybe down the road, I might get a nice return on some things that I may not be super uh, fond of. But anyways, right now, what's winning is scarcity and uh, yes, scarcity and significance. Meaning like, and by significance, I mean what's really popular
Hmm.
and has a big following, and it's and you don't really have to sell it to anybody, right? It's because
Yeah.
it's already there's already a big following. So
That Star Wars poster. What do you think about that? Because let me tell you my perspective on it. So the night before it dropped, right? Maddie well, 2 nights before the drop, Maddie from our group, he kept, mentioning about the blog post or the Medium article that VeVe had for that specific poster, and he was saying, "Oh, this is a pretty controversial poster. It might do well, right?" Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So he kept saying it several times, and I saw it, and I was like, maybe I should go for it. Maybe I should go for the drop and even pick up one or two from the market. But at the same time, I just thought there are so many Star Wars posters and artworks already on the app. So Star Wars poster artworks, and I think comics too.
Mhm.
And this is just another one of them, right? And this is not a secret rare. This is more of like, well, this is an ultra rare, but it is controversial. So, but I wasn't sure, that controversy and the fact that it's 700 and something editions, which is scarce, but not as scarce compared to the other items currently on the app, right? Because there's so many of them, and there are so many of them that have very low mid size. That's why I didn't go for it. But yeah, to this day, I'm pretty surprised at the price, and this is more of a learning lesson for me. So over the past several days, I regretted not paying attention to Star Wars month, and I regretted not playing the games and not listening to some folks that I should have listened to, um, simply because A, I forgot, and B, I I just focus on the long term collectibles, and Omi rather than these plays, and I should have looked at these collectibles and try to not also think long term, but also try to make that short term profit, because I feel like, and this is more of a confession, I feel like I always say that I'm constantly trying to learn, from the interviews, from talking to you, from reading people's posts. But at the same time, I'm not applying much because I am afraid of taking risk, because I have most of the information needed to make the decision. It's just me making that decision and maybe deal with the consequences. So hopefully we won't lose any followers for me, confessing this, because I realize that I'm not very good at flipping or making these kind of decisions, and I need to get better at it. Um, so today with these Spider-Man comics, I went for the drop and I made a small amount of profit, but that was good. Like I felt pretty good about that, and I think going forward, I will experiment more. I will have to, and I will share more with you and the audience. Mistakes, wins, lessons, anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For today's comic, the Spider Gwen, the first appearance of Spider Gwen, there's a lot of hype because of the movie,
Mm?
the Spider-Man movie that came out maybe today or yesterday. And I know that there's like a lot of popularity and with Miles Morales, Ben Riley,
Right.
Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man 2099, and all these other versions of it. But I just don't I don't take the time to read the comics or to look into these characters all that much. So I never really bought into it. I
Mm?
got some of the collectibles, and then at the end of the day, I got rid of them. But with this opportunity, because of that popularity factor and the hype and the FOMO that some people are experiencing, especially now, because there's been this trend for like the last week or so of missing out on profits.
Oh yeah.
Um, I went for the drop. I bought three comics.
Oh yeah. Same.
I got a rare and two commons, random mints, just floor mints, and I made I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 gems total profit. And with those gems, I rolled them over, and then I bought some more gems today to finish up a set or a collection that I was working on for the past like two weeks, I think.
Was that the dragon set that you were talking about?
Yeah. So for anybody listening, Capcom or VeVe released their first collectibles with Capcom. It's a new IP for the platform. I believe that the first collectibles were Street Fighter ones on some other through some other platform. Not that wasn't VeVe, but in either case, and this one was, and uh, these collectibles were from Monster Hunter, Capcom's number one selling game, or maybe Resident Evil was their number one game, but then maybe Monster Hunter beat it. I don't remember what the story was between them, but anyways, I had three out of the four collectibles from those two drops on the same day completed, and then the fourth one popped up on the market, and kind of like what we were talking about with Robert in our last interview. Um, some people just don't want to respond to you when you're trying to work out a deal, and I tried to message this person. I reached out to people that they knew personally, and then people tried to reach out to him on my behalf, but the person, I don't know what the story is, but I will say that it was extremely frustrating, and I was getting super upset, and I sensed that there were other people in the market that were trying to make moves for the same piece because they knew I needed it. And so I was feeling that fear of missing out and finishing this set. And so I bought the gems, and with those gems, along with the small profit I made from the three Spider-Gwen comics, I went ahead and finished the collection of the Capcom collectibles, the first ones that were released on VeVe.
Was that so there are four of them, right? So two in each set?
Yeah, and what I like about them too is that there's not many editions for each. I know it's still not the edition sizes are still not ideal, but they're low enough that I thought it was worth pursuing, and they look amazing. They look really great, and with all the detail. I like mythology, and
Mm-hmm.
the dragons are really cool for me.
Yeah.
I like them, and I used to play some RPG games growing up, and I haven't been able to in like, oh my gosh, maybe almost 2 decades. I don't know. Maybe a decade and a half. And so I felt like I already had an affinity for these kind of things. So I went for them, and they look great. And I'm very happy because I don't know how many other people have complete sets. And then, not to mention that it's a nice, clean number um, for the entire set. So it was worth it for me. And I don't think that the premium I paid was a fair one for me to pursue, but sometimes you just kind of have to bite the bullet to secure something, and in order to do something significant, and like to
Mm-hmm.
be able to say that I have a complete set of yet another collection.
Min matching set too.
Yeah, it's a big deal because as the market as VeVe continues to burn the supplies for these different collectibles, it's going to be more and more difficult to match up sets.
Right,
And,
right. Yeah.
and this was a very interesting experience because VeVe's contract with Capcom, they were only allotted 1 week to sell these dragons out.
Mm,
At that time, there was one out of the four that did not sell out. So there was a couple hundred that got burned.
right.
And of course, the demand wasn't necessarily there for that because it was like the least popular looking one. But again, it just made it that much more scarce. So like the ultra rare is animated for both of them, and there's 1,500 editions for those, and then the secret rare editions for both of them were 720. So all 700
Oh, right.
rares for both were minted, but one of the two did not sell out. One of the two animated ones did
Mm-hmm.
not sell out, which
Mm.
ended up burning like 400 or 500 of those editions, which is good. But and then my forward thinking, I'm wondering if Capcom will continue to do that for all of their collectibles moving forward. Will other IPs exercise that practice or try and do that as well? Because VeVe was talking because David and Dan, I believe, in one AMA were talking about how they wanted to leave items in the store. So
Mm-hmm.
with this particular drop, it was not consistent with what they were mentioning. And I'm not holding them to their word with everything, right? Because
Yeah.
there will be a couple of exceptions here and there, but this would be very, very interesting to see how it plays out if Capcom only allows 1 week to sell out each one of their collectibles or products.
Yeah. Which I think might be better for VeVe because if we were to have those collectibles longer in the stores, I actually don't know. Well, my first thought was that, well, if they burn them all, then they won't have that direct profit from the primary sales, right? Because if you burn them all, people cannot buy them. Therefore, Capcom doesn't get paid. But at the same time, like the fact that there is an expiration date for these collectibles in the stores might encourage people to actually buy them and therefore get them to sold out. So like what happened to the Hulk or what's about to happen to the can collectible. But going back to your set, so they're basically 4 collectibles that you acquired from these 2 sets, right?
Right.
Yeah, and the hardest one, which was the last one.
Yeah.
Uh,
The last piece I was missing was the ultra rare of the white and blue
mm.
dragon. Um,
Was it hard for you to get the first 3?
the first the first three, the two out of the first three were easy to get. I just had to, pay a small, like not a big premium at all. The third one, the owner had tweeted out that they landed it on the drop,
Mm.
and I messaged them, and they said that I made an offer, and they said that they think about it, and then the following day they said, you know what, I'd like to keep it, but if I do end up selling it, I'll let you know. And I was like, okay, okay. So I started looking for replacement mints, and I was just like, I don't like getting substitute mints because it's just not my style. And so a couple days go by, and then he messages me and says, you know what? He went on some like mini vacation and said, you know what? If you're still up for it, let's do it. Because what he was able to do with the gems is he was able to buy another one at floor, and he was
Mm.
also able to buy a rare animated
Mm.
um, Luke Skywalker collectible with the gems. And then, I'd get the third out of 4 pieces for my matching collection.
Yeah.
So both of us were pretty happy with that.
Let me ask you this. If he didn't respond to you, let's just say like he decided to keep it. It sounded to me like you were gonna reach out to him again and say, "Hey, have you changed your mind?" Like, if he didn't respond to you and decided to keep it, would you reach out to him?
In my experience, it's never worked. It's
Mm.
never, there's, when somebody tells you that they're not going to sell it, what ends up happening is it's just a waiting game.
Mm.
And at some point, if they even if they even toyed with the idea of selling, and they spoke with you and they responded to you, you know, all people are really trying to do is just get the most bang for their buck. Like a lot, there's a lot of, and I'm not saying this about this person who
Mm-hmm.
ended up selling that one to me. But usually when people entertain offers, it's because they do know that they want to sell it, but they just want to try and make the most for their items, right? But there's a point when you, as the buyer, get burned out from, and you get jaded. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I've gone through this before. I know how people respond, and I can kind of feel out if they're actually being serious or if they're trying to mess with me. Because you have people who say, "Oh, I have another person who's offering me this much," and they're trying to like toy with you and make you pay higher premiums, right?
Yeah.
Or they said, "You know what? I'll wait until I get a better offer that the offer that I want," and
Mm-hmm.
then months will go by. And what's funny is that um, you know, like so, like to answer your question, no, I don't like to message back people today. Like now, I've because I've learned my lesson
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many times. Like I know it's just better to wait it out. If they do end up selling it, they'll put it on the market, and then we'll see where I'm at because maybe I'm not interested anymore.
I guess one good topic that we can get from the conversation about people who want to sell specimens and the folks like you who want to buy specimen is how should the sellers respond to you guys or approach you guys in a manner that will help both parties like to turn it into win-win opportunity. Let's just say that Island mint 1962 Spider-Man, for example, FA year,
Mhm.
extremely sought after by pretty much everybody. It doesn't matter if you collect 41, if you collect some like sequential mint or something like that, everybody wants that mint. How should I respond to you when Robert or Mr. 41 or Dr. Profit also DM me, say I want it.
So like if someone has an item and are they messaging the buyers or are the buyers messaging them?
So let's just say that I tweet about it on Twitter.
Mhm.
Now I'm getting offers from you guys. So I'm not reaching out to anybody. You guys reach out to me. And this is my first time landing such a nice mint. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I know you guys are kind of credible, but at the same time, I'm getting so many offers. What should I do?
I think it just depends on what aligns with your values. Um,
So let's just say that you offer me 1,000 gems, but I
uh,
think today, like on drop day, but I think if I were to wait for maybe another day or two, more people will see my post and I might get more offers. How should I respond to you if my intention is, hey, I want to wait a little bit longer? I know that you want me to go with this offer, with your offer, 1,000 gems, but I want also to wait 48 hours to see what else I get.
I think the common practice for those kind of scenarios, from after speaking with other special collectors or other collectors in the community, is you will likely get a timeline of like 24 hours or 48 hours to accept the offer that's on the table,
Mm,
with the understanding that when time expires, when that time is over,
right.
the offer is no longer on the table. And if you want to pursue the interested party, the buyer, again for that same collectible, the offer will be less,
Right.
right? It's only fair
Mm-hmm.
because it's an inconvenience for buyers to hold on to those gems when there's other opportunities in the market, right? So if you land a really cool mint and you have people asking you for it, just understand that some buyers will give you that deadline, and that when the time is up, you will no longer have that same offer on the table, and you can expect 9 times out of 10 the offer to be less the next time you follow up with that same person or people. If And then, to another layer to it is how serious of a collector are you, or how serious of a buyer are you dealing with? Because some people are very aggressive flippers and
Mm,
will pursue those nicer mints because they just want to sit on those collectibles until there's a buyer, and they have no timeline because they can afford to sit on those items. And then the other side is you might have some serious collectors who want to buy and hold on to those items. So it's, you know, there's a fine line of, do you want the 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 gems on hand right away, or would you rather see that the collectible ends up in a true collector's possession?
mm,
And I've had experiences with both, where people would not wait for me to get the gems when I was caught off guard and didn't have the money ready, and then they would just sell it to the next person. I myself have done that to other interested buyers who were collectors, unfortunately. And so like I would end up selling it to the person who had the gems first, just because like I knew that I was short on gems and I needed the liquidity to make moves on a big drop that would be coming up, right? So I've I've made those kind of mistakes before. And like today I now understand that, hey, if I have to decide between two or three people, well, if I'm dealing with a flipper versus a collector, it's in my best interest to sell to a collector because
right.
I'm helping the community grow. If you want the good to grow, you have to you have to take care of the people who are really collecting out there. So it boils down to what you think is right for you in the moment. Sometimes you just need the gems and you accept the offer right away because another big drop is coming and you're a big fan of the IP. Like, or if you can wait and make sure that it ends up in a true collector's possession, you're only helping out the community. And it's also great for VeVe because those collectors can showcase the best of the best for VeVe, as people continue to get onboarded.
Yeah. And the best of the best together too, which will, look a lot better because like for you collect one or two certain mints, and for some other folks too, they only go for one particular mint. So when they showcase everything together, that's gonna look a lot better too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's not a bad idea to make sure that if you are a buyer or a seller, give some acknowledgement to whoever you sold to, like, hey, congratulations, and
Mm,
you could tweet at them and like, hey, congratulations, to this person who got this great mint. It was a pleasure working with them, and build up some credibility too. It's kind of like on what's eBay. You can leave feedback after a transaction, right? And
mm,
that's another thing that VeVe could be doing. Like, how was the experience of transacting or negotiating with this other person by the end of the deal?
yeah.
That
Hmm.
would be pretty cool to have eventually. Um,
I actually see you and some other folks do it very often, and that's pretty refreshing to see because it's not just like a plain and simple transaction. It's more than that. It's like a connection or maybe a starting point for more business in the future because I think I saw a post today of you helping out, I think K Collection or Austin or somebody
yeah,
with a mint, and you also tweeted a few days ago of somebody else help you to find your mint. If I can't remember exactly, but I've seen something like that from you, which is really cool.
yeah. It's spreading good vibes and making sure that people get some positive acknowledgement, and there's a lot to filter through,
Hmm.
and it helps. It's a little gesture, but goes a long way.
That is it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed the episode today. And if you have, remember that gentleman agreement. We will continue working until 1 a.m. just for you. But in return, we ask you to subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out on the actionable and valuable insights, everything VeVe and Omi related. Don't forget to give us a rating and tweet at us to let us know what you think about the podcast so that we can refine the content better just for you. Thank you so much. We hope to see you again next time. Peace.